Yo, what up? So today I'm going to be reacting to Ariana Grande, Dangerous Woman Live. Look, she ain't been feeding us lately. We got to feed ourselves, you know what I'm saying? So this is a throwback that I actually use with students all the time because it's an example of her singing live without a microphone, without any sort of amplification. And so you really get a good idea of what her vocals really sound like. But before we get started, today's video is sponsored by Green Chef. Green Chef is a CCOF certified organic meal kit delivery service which is owned by HelloFresh but offers even more recipes. You name it, they got it. Keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, fast and fit, Mediterranean, and gluten-free. If you're like me and you're tired of spending so much time every week going to the store thinking about what to get, realizing that you're not a chef and you don't know what to flip to make for dinner, you know what? Not anymore. It's so simple and convenient. You just go on their website. They have a bunch of like pre-listed recipes that are super easy to make, and within a few days you'll have it right at your doorstep ready to go. With Green Chef, I just ordered straight. For example, this past weekend I made a sweet potato risotto. I've never made risotto before, but it was surprisingly easy and fun and delicious. So what are you waiting for? Use my code Tristan60 to get 60% off and free shipping. Fantastic deal. Go to greenchef.com for more details or check out the link in my description. Thanks again, Green Chef, for sponsoring this video. Let's just get back into it. All right, let's go.
Don't need permission, make my decision to test my limits, cause it's my business, God as my witness, stop what I finished, don't need no holder, taking control of this kind of moment.
One thing I really want people to notice, particularly is in these verses, number one, how quiet she is. And the way she's singing is kind of what I like to call a projected whisper. The amount of air in her voice is super important to get this smooth sort of a tone.
I'm locked and loaded, completely focused, my mind is open.
Like on this note, hey, it has more air than you probably imagine that it does. When I ask most students to do this sound, what they usually do is like half the amount of air that Ariana Grande actually has on her voice here. They'll go, eh. It's like, no, you kind of have to project the whisper. You have to project the air. Hey. You see what I'm saying? Because you can actually be quite loud with this sound without straining yourself. Just be careful, because if you get too loud, hey, then all of a sudden you get this like sandy type of a sound, which is not what we're going for.
Oh. You guys, skin to skin. Oh my God, don't you stop.
Suddenly super loud.
Something about you makes me feel like a dangerous woman.
By the way, let me know if you haven't seen this in the comments. It's a little bit old, but
makes me wanna do things that I should do.
So we're gonna go into some detail about how she does these like middle upper range notes as we go forward. Again, pay attention to the volume and the air.
The way we're moving, like introducing us to a new thing. I wanna savor it for later. The taste of flavor, cause I'm a taker, cause I'm a giver. It's only nature, I live for danger.
Hey! So one thing that's super, super key as well on top of this air is that she has a little bit of this.
To a new thing.
She has this Does that make sense? She has this almost moan on her voice. The way I describe this with students is like a bellyache, but sometimes if people aren't really getting it, I'll just be like, go, and that's the sound that she's doing, but with air. So you take that, add some air, and then loosen up, and you get the sound. Let me know if these tips are helpful. She does it everywhere in her voice. Pay attention to the moany quality. At the end of that little line there. She gets so loud. Pay attention to the contrast between that last chorus there, how loud she got, and then the little run that she does at the end there. She's going from basically like a 7, 8 in volume down to like a 2 in volume. The thing is though, when you're singing with a microphone, these sort of differences in volumes get lost. Obviously, some sort of microphone is recording her, right? They definitely evened out the volume in some way or another. So we're not getting like 100% pure real life. This is exactly what she's doing in terms of volume, but we're getting pretty damn close. And I think for like 99% of singers, it's pretty shocking the differences in volume. Singing gets super fucking loud, even if it doesn't sound like it is. And then it also gets super fucking quiet, even if you don't think it is. And you got to be able to do both, because if you don't do both, it's not going to be right. Either you're going to strain because you're being too loud in the bottom, or you're going to strain because you're being too quiet in the top. I guess that was for lunch or something. Still tastes so much. Volume difference again.
Something about you makes me wanna do things that I shouldn't. Something about I always wanna be like that.
She's projected whisper.
Like that. You know how I'm feeling inside.
The trick to getting those loud, belty sounds that she has there, you got two options. And I like to call it restraining your voice versus containing your voice. When you have this like sound on your voice, it reduces the volume. If I go, hey, and I don't have any of the like hold or bellyache or moan quality, it's just gonna fly out the door. Hey! In terms of volume, in terms of like projection, it's just gonna fly. It's almost shouty. Hey! But when I add the moany quality, it allows me to reduce the volume. Hey! As opposed to, hey! Right? It might not translate again well in video because I also even out the vocals in my videos. YouTube does it as well. So you're not gonna get a pure idea of the differences in volume, but we're going from about a 9 to a 7. So I can go, hey! Which is more of like an open type of a sound on an A, or I can go, eh, which is more like an I, and that's volume is reduced further. Open loud one is a contained sound. The I is a restrained sound. Do you see the difference? One's a little bit more held, one's a little bit more open and out, but they're not the same thing as just full blast. Ariana Grande does both contained and restrained. She rarely full blasts it. You can hear it on that like that. Eh. She has a little bit of a contained sound, right?
You know how I'm feeling inside, baby.
Hey! Always reduce the volume as she goes down, adds air. Here we go, here's the killer. Pay attention to the moan, pay attention to the volume. I think she's pretty restrained up on the top notes here. Kills me every time. Can you see the difference though? Because she's restraining, if we're using these terms. You, I. She's doing that and she's not going, ay, which is like more open and out, but contained. And she's certainly not going, ay, which is like the explosive, completely open, completely, oh, I'm sorry, Queen Cat. You see what I'm saying? These are very important distinctions because they change the vowels that you're going to use as you go up and also changes your volume. A lot of teachers will call what she is doing in the upper range mixed voice. You probably have heard this a lot, and that's fine. I understand why it's used, and I understand the intention behind it, but I think it's way, way easier to think in terms of like, she's just moaning up on those top notes, and she's getting pretty loud while staying in her chest voice, a very light chest voice. One more time. Hey! I oftentimes will have students do like a baby cry sound. Wah! Right? And then sing the notes on the baby cry like a wah. Wah, 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 wah. And then you can kind of like add like your own voice into it, like give it a little bit more so that it's not so baby cry sounding. Make it a little bit more normal. Wah, wah, wah. Just so it's not so extreme. Even though, to be honest, what you really want to do the first time you're doing this kind of stuff is make it super extreme. The reason why it's hard to figure out for yourself is people don't take things to the extreme. It's scary to go to extremes. You might sound weird. Your voice might crack. You might do it wrong. It might sound really, really, really bad. You gotta risk these things. You gotta risk it for the biscuit, my friend. Look, anyone can learn how to sing. I really genuinely believe that. But the people who learn the fastest are those who are willing to make themselves sound horrible. Anyway. Just imagine her as like baby Ariana Grande. You can just hear it at the end of the note. Right? You hear that trailing off at the end of her note. That oftentimes also as well gets cut off in studio recordings, or, you know, it's auto-tuned to make it sound like it's just part of the note. So you don't really get it. You don't really hear all of this. By the way, on my Patreon, I go into way more technical detail about this kind of stuff. In fact, I'm about to record a video on this, which I'm going to upload to my Patreon, going into the very nerdy side of things. So go ahead and check out my Patreon. Link to that in the description if you're interested. And it's predictable. Back to the air as soon as she goes back down. It's predictable. Once you kind of get this stuff and you get, you know, the aesthetics of modern pop technique, right? Because she can choose to be loud in the bottom if she wants to. That's perfectly acceptable and perfectly fine. Could be perfectly healthy techniques. A lot of what we interpret as sounding good or sounding bad is just a matter of taste. And collectively, we all tend to have this taste of, as the pitch comes down, a little bit softer, a little bit more air, generally. Goes up in pitch, louder, more hold. Beautiful runs. And then sometimes she jumps out with the contained sound, right? There goes underneath her like that. Right? It still has a little bit of this, It's not, there goes underneath her like that. She's not just exploding. So quiet. So quiet! This is quieter than she was previously in the verses, by the way. So when you're singing with air or this projected whisper, there's degrees to it. Now she's probably like a 1 in volume. Earlier she was like a 3, maybe a 4. Sorry, I had to turn on the captions for this. Oh, there's just a whole audience. Even on that you can hear the ooh. Anyway, look, I've given you guys way too many secrets. Like I said, over on my Patreon, I go into way more detail about this. I'm trained in a very secret, special technique. Just kidding. Complete vocal technique. That's what I do over on my Patreon, and I'm going to now jump into analyzing this. Uplinking it over there. Be sure that you guys check out Green Chef. There's gonna be a link to that down in the description. For real, like, if you're ever interested in any of the sponsorships on my channel, it does help out to use my codes and stuff, because my videos get copyright claimed. It's super lame. I don't make a lot of money off these videos themselves, so I'd appreciate it a lot if it's something that you're interested in already. But anyway, until next time, Tristan. And just for him. Peace.